Planet Elimi, a new project. Every person has something they are very entertained from, a hobby which brings them joy. What this thing is usually made clear to them in an early age, where they find themselves unconsciously pursuing it, doing things which they wouldn't perceive as a possibility in the current environment. Mine is the media. Movies, series, documentaries, games, images, music, storyline, theme, etc. Having grown in an environment where all of these things were thought of as the least entertaining things to do, I had a hard time managing my thoughts and desires about them. By the age of 21, I had watched about 80% of all of the movies and series listed on IMDb. An isolated environment and a burning desire to express led me to the idea of creating something of my own. The beginning was slow. I was writing themes, an environment, a main hero and a storyline, based on thoughts I knew to be entirely captivating, like the lost civilization of Atlantis, the legendary warrior, card games, etc. Every weekend, when I worked as a night shift receptionist in a hotel, I wrote and drew thoughts that I had about these topics in sheets of paper and sticky notes. After a while, they grew in size, together with my knowledge and understanding as well. One day I said to myself that the best way to have all of these ideas exist was to put them in one environment, one planet. Something that I'm very proud about this planet is that it has its own blueprint, its own structure of events based on its own philosophy. It was made clear to me that the blueprint included the application of mythological beings, something I was in denial but also amazed about when I first figured out what mythology was attempting to do, and that in its core it was the same thing with what I was attempting to do, unconsciously. I promised myself not to go further than one planet, as a solar system or a group of solar systems would complicate things far too much. There is just not enough time, and as such I continue to work on my project, Planet Elimi. It consists of 33 individual pieces. It is separated in two main chapters, which serve as time sections. The first chapter is concerned with setting the fundamentals, whilst the second one is concerned with developing them to their extremes. All 33 belong to one of the categories: movie, included here is an animated piece, series, documentary, game. Every piece is coherent and has a place within the planet's storyline, which is built in a timeline, from the beginning to the end. It is all structured and connected so that every piece serves the habitat it lays on. Each of the pieces would, however, be seen as standing alone and it wouldn't bring any damage to its storyline. They belong to a very wide range of events and ideas, from fundamental philosophy of what a living being's nature is to extreme technological advancements, with their union right in the middle. The range involves mystery and figuring out what unknown things are as one of its key properties for the components, and also building things to their almost perfect state. The depth of desperation and the height of golden glory participate as the poles of the events which take place, with a lot of levels in between perfectly represented as well. Some of the pieces are a simulation game for a civilization, in which you start as a kid but become its leader. Emphasis here, not its boss. Everything is taken under consideration: economy, politics, spiritual guidance, mystery, corruption, prosperity, growth, disaster, etc. The Path, a movie which describes the path inwards a man takes to love his fearful life. It captures his main life events, such as his time serving in a war set in an urban environment, his time walking the desert and learning about hollowness and creativity, his time in the limbo where everything fits in and makes sense, etc. An infiltration events TV series, where in each episode a group of infiltrators bring down or build up a big thing, like a government, a genius musician, an evil psychopath, AI, etc. The documentary, called Trance, deals with explaining what change is, how it is manifested in society, and which are its components and states. The physical environment. I have taken great care to involve, or have events be based upon, a truly diverse and rich physical environment. The landscape is mostly based on that of the Earth's. What I have changed are the proportions. For example, extremely tall mountains, extremely deep valleys, very cold, very hot temperatures, etc. One change is the existence of yet unexplained physical phenomena manifested in the inhabitants of the area, made possible by strange rocks deep in the ground with few on the surface. They give the inhabitants super abilities, speed, strength, etc. Paired with isolation, they make up for an amazing group. Besides this, I wanted to create a fully diverse flora and fauna. I've seen to it to have about 15 new animals which live in different environments sea, air, land, ice, etc., and a couple of plants. My small knowledge of biology and David Attenborough documentaries weren't as great a help as I would think in the process of thinking completely different animals or plants from those of the earth. For what people are concerned, they had to have come from chimps. There is simply too much work to be done if people didn't come from chimps. The planet exists in a two-star solar system. Actually, my wild imagination had me think of a super huge star, 100,000 times as large as ours, with its own system, one element of which is the current solar system in which Elimi belongs. So it's a solar system that belongs in a solar system. This, obviously, is to be checked by actual astrophysicists if it is possible to exist. The continents have a clear separation from each other and some interesting yet totally possible shapes to them. The art accompanying the events. The music, one of my main sources of inspiration. I have made sure that most of the music pieces that I just love have their own part in any of the 33 pieces that make up the storyline of the planet. They are composed by Beethoven, Two Steps from Hell, Wardruna, Richard Wagner, Hans Zimmer, Mozart, Bach, Armin van Buuren, John Williams, etc. The music fits perfectly in the part that I have set for it to be. Without it, I'm not sure the project would be elevated and enjoyed to the same level I see it to. The visuals, another of my sources of inspiration. Be they amazing shapes, symmetrical and geometrical shapes, selected shiny and lively colors, symbols, paintings or photographies, or just vibrant manifestations in nature, visuals have always held a strong place in my heart. I have tried with all I have to bring about some of the best visuals there have existed so far. Noted, they exist only in my imagination, not even on paper, but still, the thought is what counts here. The general feeling of the planet. Be it through architecture or through costumography or through the customs every nation has in this project, you have an unconscious feeling of visiting a new planet. Much like one can immediately have a feel when watching The Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or maybe Star Wars, the same will be true for Elimi. The map. It is in its most zoomed out version so far, with an overview of the entire planet, like one would watch the Earth from space. Seeing the whole thing gives a different perspective on what it is and lets you understand that you are part of a big thing. A big and also great thing. It is definitely one of the most entertaining and interesting parts of creating a new planet, and I am most willing to work in filling up all the details, right down to every particular house. Other elements of the planet. One big thing that I have imagined and assumed is almost revolutionary is a game in which you are not given tasks but you get to start them or finish them as you explore. This way you can enjoy the magnificent visuals but also involve yourself in all of the tasks and not finish them as chores. The creation of a character through exploring mystery and engaging what your intuition assumes as a possibility, gaining countless achievements and comparing them to your friend to see who has figured out the most. An outstanding RPG. Its people are not humans, but humanoid. Because of having evolved on different environmental conditions, these chimps have developed height greater than that of the Earthlings. Thus far I choose 50 centimeters. There are also different races, differentiating by one another not only by skin color shade, which is the most obvious, but also by cheekbones, general attractiveness, strength, weight, etc. This being said, people from Earth do get to visit this planet. They are on a spaceship which malfunctions and they manage to crash land on Elimi. We are not the only aliens who visit, as others who manage to escape an invasion also find refuge in here. I end this episode here. I hope you have found it interesting and that I have caught your curiosity. Also, if you are interested in this sort of thing, make sure to follow me in the other social media platforms. Bye bye!